Search engine optimization is changing faster than ever before. The world is frothy with product roadmaps and wild speculation. But what steps can SEOs and digital marketers realistically take today that will drive revenue into the near future? How can we leverage visual search and imagery as a competitive advantage during this short window of AI arbitrage? Marketing and sales are full of myths, misconceptions, and sometimes flat-out lies. Join us as we get out of the echo chamber and look for a crystal ball.
Hello and welcome to the Rethink Marketing Podcast, where we try to be two voices of reason in a sea of modern marketing chaos. I'm Paul Frodge, joined by Mr. Marketing, and for today's conversation, the savant of serious search kills, Colin Jeffries. Colin, how's it going today?
Hey, Paul, I feel great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Usually when you talk about savants, it's talking about science or literature, but today we're talking about SEO. So interested in bringing this full story back to life and seeing, what the true meaning of the savant is when it comes to search results.
Well, Paul, there's a little science and a little creative writing in search, I would say.
I agree. And, looking at it, being able to write creatively and also to be writing for keywords and things like that. But today, looking at it, we're going to tee this up in a different direction on SEO and like to tee that up if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. So last week, we kicked off the initial episode in our series doing a deep dive on the evolution of SEO with guest Brianca Hadnot. And we're excited to have her back. Welcome, Bri.
Thank you. Nice to be here, guys.
And you would think we could just talk in two episodes, one about off-page or general SEO and one about on-page or technical SEO. But we're not doing that. We decided to go a different route because Google is making so many nuanced changes. So we thought that it would be really good today to do a deep dive into Google's evolving visual search. So right now, about 18% of search results are returning images, and Google's really embracing that with what I think they're calling the circle to search, where you can take a picture or a screenshot of a video, circle an item, and it can search that for you, or you can just do a general upload image search right from your mobile device or from your desktop. And there's a big opportunity there for us as marketers, especially if we're in a visually compelling area like retail or storage or something of that nature, where we can really dive in and take advantage of these changes before our competitors catch wind of them. So with that, Bri, I guess I'll invite you in and you can tee us up for what do we need to know as SEOs in today's visual search environment.
Yeah, I think that what's coming with the visual search in terms of visual and image search is going to be just another opportunity. Again, we're working with Google, so not against it. And I think it's really awesome, especially if you are doing business to customer, retail, e-commerce, because what you're getting is an opportunity to just be seen organically, very quickly at the top of the page with a few basic changes to images and things that honestly good SEO marketers are already doing. So if you've been following the rules of SEO for this time, none of this should be incredibly new for you. However, even if it is new for you, it's not difficult to apply. It's very simple. It's very to the point. It can be done, and when done correctly, you're going to see a lot more interest in your brand grow because you are getting prime real estate.
That's a great point. Google's definitely embracing more of, I think they're calling it the experience rather than the results. So, and I like that you said it can be simple too, because that's rarely a word thrown around with SEO.
Yeah, I think sometimes SEO becomes this mystery thing as we start thinking about, well, why am I not the third ranking, or why is that person above me? But when we start thinking about it in terms of experience, in terms of application, in terms of doing what's best for the consumer, I think you can find that it's about being as authentic as possible, being very honest with your consumer. I mean, like we've all ordered something from eBay, and it's like, you're looking for the new product. Someone sends you the used product, you feel cheated. And I think it's just about that terms of that honesty, that transparency when talking to your client, because this person is searching. Most people are starting their search for something to buy on the internet. About 60 something percent are starting right there with an internet search. So the more information you can give them and the more accurate you can give them, the better trust you're going to have with your customer. And that's even a pillar of Google. They want to have trust. So it's about that, just transparency, really.
That's a great point, Bree, talking about the transparency and the authenticity. And it's something that Google Ads is really embracing from an image perspective because, of course, they want to improve performance. Because when ads perform well, people tend to spend more money on the ads. So Google can use that to continue to fund other things and to continue to generate revenue, as well they should. But what we're seeing is Google Ads is going to drive Google general search, is what I would say. So as ads is stepping more into visual search, we're going to see a lot more visual search from an organic results perspective too, because what Google's going to want to do is serve ads that include images and are image based, from especially from an e-com perspective. But we as customers using Google are going to expect organic search results that are image based or include images as well. So I think when we're looking at imagery, it's really important for us to recognize there are a couple of fundamentals that we really should be embracing. So that way, when somebody takes a picture of a gray Corvette, we're the ones showing up. When they take a picture of a black faux leather jacket, we're the ones showing up. When they take a picture of a an Apple laptop, we're the ones showing up. Do you have any suggestions for SEOs or for digital marketers on ways to make sure that they're using the best alt text or they're naming their image files correctly or what have you?
Yes, of course. And I think you're exactly right. And I think it comes down to dotting our I's, crossing our T's. The thing about SEO, again, it is simple, but it's tedious. And I think that a lot of people shy away from doing just the heavy lifting because, like you said, you need to be having those descriptive file names. Image 0001777 isn't going to be acceptable anymore. Though I think we're all guilty of a crazy file name, right? Now it's more important to start putting those keywords and being very thoughtful about what we're writing in our file names. Also using our alt image text opportunities, using high quality images that are original. I think we see so much software coming out that helps us like develop more images because we realize how much us as humans gravitate to an image or gravitate towards a video. But Google's saying, hey, like I know like these stock photos look nice, but we want to know who you are. And it's very important that we stick to very original photos as high as quality as possible. Give a very clear title, a very clear description of what the image is, very descriptive file name, and then make sure you're formatting your size. And even the right type of file so that you're not affecting your page speed. That's something that happens a lot of times where people are uploading these files like, oh, I got an image, I'm going to put it up there, but it's just too big and it kind of slows down your website. So you also need to be conscious of those little exterior things too.
That's a great point. I've seen in a couple of instances of people taking a picture on an iPhone and uploading I think it's a JFIF file rather than a JPEG file. Well, the JFIF is much bigger. It has a lot of different functionalities like live photos, for example. So to your point about maybe dump that JFIF into Photoshop and export it as a JPEG, make sure it's sized correctly. That can actually be really beneficial rather than uploading file type.
Super beneficial. I think it's something that we try to rush through. Oh, it's just a picture. Time to do those extra things. People that have already done it are going to naturally see a jump in the algorithm, right? Because they don't have to go back and redo or like reformat the wheel for themselves. But when we take these smaller cheat codes and I'm going to leave that blank for now, we see that those people are like now they're trying to create new content and they're in a situation where they're now fixing a lot of technical SEO that they simply overlooked.
So tell me about this a little bit, Bree. So I was at my son's basketball game last weekend, used my iPhone camera, took a picture of everybody in action on the court, but in the background there was a banner, and on the banner there was a website, and the camera picked up the website and brought that to life. How do you see iPhone cameras, Android cameras, being able to tie into this conversation from an SEO standpoint? Maybe not the website at the bottom of that banner that's pulling up, but are there future opportunities for SEO when it comes to taking those pictures on a camera, on a mobile device, and being able to apply that to SEO and search with images per this conversation?
Well, I think that's a great question. I think the beautiful thing about what Google does is they don't really care what camera you're using. They're not saying like go buy the newest, most creative lens. Now, will it help you in terms of video and other marketing? Of course. But in terms of SEO, it's just about take whatever photo you have is getting it clean enough, getting it as high quality enough. And the great thing about these iPhones now, they do have like HD features. And if you were to change your settings, you can get a really, really high quality image. So the real issue with these images is mostly about changing that file size. They're a lot bigger, and changing the formatting, and then you can see a difference when applied to SEO.
I think, Paul, you're asking too from a user's point of view how that's going to impact the search experience. And it's interesting because now if you see somebody in a like I think of the Tesla Cybertruck, right? There have been a few Tesla Cybertrucks driving around, and I spent some time with some of my neighbors who are also dads, and we're outside with our kids and everything, and they're talking about like this weird gray car, and so we're pulling up pictures like, is this what it looks like? Does it look like a boxy sort of angular, or pulling it up and looking at it, and we're having to use these descriptors, right? Like silver angular vehicle, right? Or, is it a Tesla Cybertruck? So we're pulling those pictures up versus today, what we could have done, again, assuming that we were in a place where we could take pictures, not driving, but take a picture of it and then leverage that image alone to do the search. So we're going to see the removal of descriptive thought turned into search. And when we're seeing that now, like I said, it's about 18% of searches right now and going up. What I found really fascinating is 15% of searches that are text-based are net new every single day. But 100% of image searches, in theory, or close to 100%, will be net new. And so that's really where it's fascinating is, okay, Google's leveraging visual AI to determine what's in that picture. And then allegedly they're looking at the metadata of other files and descriptors and those sorts of things to pull up similar imagery. So that's going to change the game completely because A, everything's going to be new instead of only 15%. And then B, we're basically removing the general descriptors. Like as in, let's use a retail provider that sells appliances, right? That people are searching for things like washing machine, washer, dishwasher, dryer, right? Like there are certain descriptors that they're searching for. How do we plan for visual search? And that's the part that's really fascinating to me.
I would agree with that. Looking at that, making it easy for the user instead of having to upload an image. Like, what is the technology going to be where you can just take the picture and it gives you a ton of options? What is that integration from an SEO standpoint or overall organic search standpoint, where it is giving you the options? And like you said, net new, it's going to continue to develop all these different algorithms and opportunities to display what they think that you're looking for. Just like you mentioned, the Tesla truck, you're probably looking for that and maybe some other colors, maybe other models, what the future of it is going to look like, and being able to display, reading your mind on what that's going to look like.
Well said. It'll be interesting too to see how brands react from a non-search perspective to influence search. So I think about clothes and how we could use very unique patterns or unique color schemes or something of that nature so that when somebody takes a picture to do the visual search, our brand is unique and we pop up versus just a generic blue golf polo, let's say. Or thinking about slapping your logo front and center everywhere so that way when people are taking pictures of it to do search, your logo is something that is being read and indexed by AI to then feed additional results that have your logo on them. So it'll be interesting to see how brands react to that. I'm not saying we should be doing that, but I guarantee you there's going to be some pseudo black hat techniques where people think, oh, here's a unique sort of trademark or brand mark that we can use that people will be able to search and get results off of.
I agree, Colin. I do think that there's going to be some people trying to, of course, find a way to, shoot up those rankings. But one thing that Google's already noticing about when it comes to retail, what your initial click when you say I want a blue polo, you're going to get 4 or 5 options, 4 or 5 brands. When you click again and say this is the polo I like, they're going to then alter your search and to give you more information on the brand. And because they're realizing that people are also looking for a brand experience in addition to the item, right? Because the way the new customer is looking at things, yes, I want this item, but I also want to make sure that what I'm buying stands with my core values in terms of a brand. Now people are thinking about sustainability. They're thinking about where the clothes are coming from, who's impacted. And so Google's recognizing this too, and they're adding this element in as almost like a secondary search. Let me tell you a little bit about this brand and give you an overview of who they are. And so I think in that way, it's even a greater experience for real retailers because they're taking that image, they're taking those ideas directly from your website, directly from what you've put in your Google Merchant Center, directly from reviews that they've gathered, and they're creating this overview of who you are as a brand.
Bree, I think that is probably the most important thing that was said on this entire episode, which is if we want to rank well for image search, and who doesn't, we have to recognize that the image itself or the images themselves are only a really small part of that. Meta tags still matter. H1 still matter, right? The descriptors still matter. All of these fundamental SEO elements still matter because Google's not independently ranking a one-off image. They're ranking the entire page. They're ranking the image within the page. They're scraping context and other information from that. So really, really valuable insight there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, we if we get too caught into like the smaller, micro parts of like, oh, I'm trying to sell this blue shirt. How can I sell this blue shirt? We may miss the larger picture of how can I leverage my entire brand, right? Because if you're selling a blue shirt, you're probably selling a red one, a gray one, a green one, right? So it's about really sharing who you are as a brand. Who am I? What am I? What are my values, and how am I entering that into the brand experience to the point that even customers doing reviews can speak to that brand experience in a positive way too. So I think where some people are getting nervous, feeling like AI might take over, is actually just integrating with the way that we actually look at things, actually search, and the values that we show. And of course, it's going to be a deeply personal experience. So they're trying to learn, they're trying to learn the me versus you versus the next guy and say, okay, these are their values. How does this brand interconnect?
That's a great point. Looking at that, Bree, how do you see in a short amount of time how brands and SEO specialists like yourself can actually influence what is showing up when an image is being searched for that brand so that Google isn't just showing the blue, green, gray shirt, but being able to also be able to show more and showcase more about your company?
Yeah. Okay. So again, like first, you may start off not knowing what brand you're looking for, so you're going to just get that generic blue, green, gray shirt. Once you say yeah, one, they're going to then a panel about your particular brand. And there, they've scraped information from your Google Merch Center, a really important place to really out all the details, very dice what it is that's actually integrated with, right? So you're going to be very thoughtful and considerate about how you market your brand anywhere. Say definitely on the Google Marketing Center because they're pulling it. They're clear that I'm going to pull this information from here. To that, I think that they're also doing something like your review, your Google My Business Pro. They're going to also leverage the description you put on your product, and so thinking about the thoughtful way and being very intentional about brand voice very important coming up because they're scraping all this, putting it into a quick, easily channel, and you're not going to get an opportunity. Well, I don't necessarily like what was said, or I don't like this customer review to be able to pick your review. I think Google's going to be over that and showing this is how people are it, right?
That's really fascinating. This has been a great conversation, Bree. Thank you for your time and your expertise. Next week, we're so excited to talk about video search and the evolution there and how we as SEOs and digital marketers and marketing leaders generally can take advantage of it. But regarding image search, seems like we talked a lot about overall context, making sure that your I's are dotted and T's are crossed across the board. Then making sure that you're uploading the right file type, they're sized correctly, the file names are appropriate, alternate text is there, they're embedded on pages where there's a lot of additional context and things that Google can leverage to make sure that they're serving up the right images. And we're all just playing Google's game at this point. So recognizing the importance of embracing that and moving toward visual search and image search is absolutely key. Bree, anything I missed that you would add?
Nothing that you missed that I said, but I didn't mention that still use your schema markup, still use your structured data, because that's also going to be used a lot more in the coming months.
Fantastic. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today on the Rethink Marketing Podcast. Until next week, keep rethinking those common assumptions and the evolution of search engine optimization. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If people want to connect with us, where should they go, Paul?
RethinkMarketingPodcast.com, Colin. What can listeners do to help us in return for the sage marketing wisdom and our pithy humor?
They can help us by leaving a review on their favorite platform or sharing this episode with a fellow marketer to help them cut through the clutter.
Well, until next time, keep rethinking those common assumptions.